Our last example, we're going to take a look at using the trig identities to generate the missing functions. So we're given the value of secant. We're also told that tangent is positive, so that helps us narrow down which quadrant we're in. Remember, when we're on the unit circle, the sine value is the y coordinate and the cosine value is the x coordinate. Tangent is the ratio of sine over cosine. Secant, remember, is the reciprocal of cosine. So when cosine is negative, when the x values are negative, that narrows it down to the second and third quadrants. However, knowing that tangent is positive, that narrows it down to the third quadrant. In the second quadrant, sine is still positive, so the ratio would be negative. Whereas in the third quadrant, they're both negative, so the ratio is positive. All right, setting up our other functions, the obvious one is cosine because it's the reciprocal of secant. So this will be negative 2/3. And then to find sine, we're going to use our Pythagorean identity, sine squared plus cosine squared. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute that value we know for cosine equals 1. So we're going to solve this equation for sine. So we have sine squared plus 4/9 equals 1. Now remember, when we subtract fractions, we need a common denominator. So I'm going to turn my 1 into 9/9, so that when I subtract my 4/9, I get 5/9, taking the square root of that. And remember, we know that sine is negative. We know we're in the third quadrant, so it's going to be the negative square root of 5/3. Remember, just take the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. Next, we're going to take a look at generating tangent. Now that I have sine and cosine, tangent will be the ratio of those two. So tangent equals sine over cosine. So I'm going to substitute the values I know to solve for what I don't. Sine, we just got, was negative square root of 5/3. And instead of dividing my fractions, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of cosine is negative 3/2. Canceling my negative 3's, I'm left with the square root of 5/2 for my tangent. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so when I flip this, I need to rationalize. Remember, the shortcut for rationalizing is that when there's a radical in the denominator, you simply move it to the numerator and you drop the radical from the denominator. So there's our cotangent. And the last one we need is our cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine. So same thing, when I flip this, I get that radical in the denominator, and I'm going to rationalize it by moving the radical to the numerator and simply dropping it from the denominator. There may be a lot of questions on this one. Attempt the U-tries to the best of your ability. Jot down whatever questions you have so we can start them in class, or put them in Edpuzzle so we can talk about them.